Welcome, punters, to the round 3 edition of Betfair's Spruikers. You'll probably notice that I don't have the usual gorgeous-looking Hugh Taggart next to me, but I'm very proud to be joined by the equally gorgeous Michael Sharkie. Mick, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no worries, Jackie. I tried to grow a Taggart-esque beard, but I was sick of getting spare change flicked at me on the street, so I didn't have that slightly posh accent to pull it off.
Very good start by you. Before we get into sink our teeth into this weekend's footy, let's go to Nat at the news desk.
Thanks, Jake. Geelong will be without star forward Cameron Mooney for Sunday's clash with Fremantle after the tribunal found him guilty of rough conduct. Hawk Liam Shields also lost his appeal and was slapped with a 2-game ban for striking Cat skipper Cameron Ling. Geelong's Matthew Scarlett and Hawthorn's Michael Osborne will also serve one-match suspensions after accepting the match review panel's sanctions. West Coast will have to make at least 3 changes ahead of its clash with North Melbourne, with Shannon Hearn to miss through suspension and Mark Nikoski and Sam Butler sidelined with injury. Small forward Mark Lacroix has no certainty to return to the side after a hamstring complaint kept him out of last week's team. Essendon midfielder Mark McVeigh looks likely to miss Saturday night's blockbuster at the MCG against Carlton after spending 4 nights in hospital when a cut on his arm became infected. And Western Bulldogs skipper Brad Johnson is likely to miss Sunday's clash against Hawthorn as he continues to recover from a virus which kept him out of last weekend's game. And that's all the footy news for now. Back to you guys.
Thanks very much for that, Nat. An interesting week in the footy news. Mick, just before we get into some of the games, Betfair currently has a promotion going called Blame to Fame, where you get to pot someone or something, make an excuse, essentially vent your spleen for ruining a promising sporting career.
Yes.
Anything, people who enter can win AFL and NRL grand final tickets plus flights and accommodation, so it's a really good little endeavour. You got anything you can maybe share with us?
Yeah, I'd probably like to blame Hawthorn superstar Luke Hodge for ruining my football career.
Why is that?
I happened to chase him around Box Hill Oval for about 5 minutes in a brief VFL career that I had, and yeah, pretty much never recovered from that. Didn't help that I was a complete, hopeless case on the footy field, but yeah, I'll be blaming Luke.
Yeah, good play. Well played. Well, Luke Hodge, I'm just blaming the fact that I was too good on the fang when I was a kid, and I was about double the size I should have been. That ruined my sports career. Let's get into some of the games, shall we? The Friday night spectacular this week, Shark, is the St Kilda Collingwood game. St Kilda 150 favourites there against Collingwood 296. St Kilda were good last week against your mob, which I think were probably an inferior opposition to Collingwood, but I think the odds, St Kilda might be a bit too short. How do you see this?
Pretty short, yeah. Collingwood, they're not terrible, are they?
No, they were terrible last week, just getting over the line against the
Well,
Teddies.
they were, but Melbourne, they might be able to pull one out a couple of times this year.
Yeah,
so we can forgive Collingwood for that.
Pendlebury
was talking them up today.
Yeah,
press conference.
He was too. So that might be one to bet in play. Maybe lay St Kilda first and then try and get a better price about them and lock in a profit during the game. Let's move to the Carlton-Essendon match, another one of the big Melbourne footy rivalries. My mob Essendon are off to a terrible start this year. Couldn't have been less impressive in the last quarter against Geelong and then for 4 quarters last week against Freo. And duly, they're $2.58 outsiders against Carlton, who are 161. Carlton haven't beaten Essendon in Brett Ratton's tenure at the club. I think it's 5 games, which suggests that maybe Essendon are too long, but I'm not taking the 258. How are you playing this game, Mick?
I just want to know what's going on at Essendon. Mark
Not a great deal, unfortunately.
Infected arm. Haven't they heard of Dettol? Like, what's their mum doing when they were scratching their knees? Like, it's the first thing you whack on, isn't it?
Good point.
I'm not a medical person.
What's that other stuff? Betadine.
Yeah, oh geez, that stings.
Yeah, it's not good, is it?
No wonder he didn't put it on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, look, Carlton look pretty good. They're going all right.
Yeah, they were good last week, despite losing to Brisbane. I thought they were good, particularly for about 3 quarters. I ran out of steam, but back in Melbourne, I'd expect them to beat Essendon. 161. I'm not sure whether I'm prepared to take that. Could be another one to bet in play. They're probably the big match of the round and the most crucial match of the round in terms of how the top 4 might be shaped towards the end of the year is Hawthorn and the Doggies. The Doggies are 156 favourites and Hawthorn 276. So the Hawks nearly got over the line against the Cats last week.
Yeah.
Whether or not the Doggies are a better opposition than Geelong, it's probably too early to say, but 276 looks a good price to me about the Hawks.
Yeah, all over Hawthorn. All over Hawthorn. It's $1.56 way too short for Bulldogs, although they're one of the picks for the flag after the pre-season grand final win, but just got to be on Hawthorn at 276.
Yeah, my only concern for the Hawks is the fact that towards the end of the game against Geelong, they were just lacking any tall firepower. Brent Renouf really sort of fell into a heap at the end, but understandable up against 2 quality ruckmen. That's probably my concern as far as this game is concerned. Mick, we'll get your best bet of the round in the form of your Betfair Big Spruik in just a minute, but before we do that, let's get Nat's Betfair Big Spruik for round 3.
The Betfair.
My Betfair Big Spruik this week, boys, is Fremantle to beat the Cats at Subiaco. I know the stats are against me and Freo have lost the last 7 against the Catters, but last week Freo proved they could go up against the odds by winning in Melbourne against the Bombers. So I think they're a pretty good chance, especially with Scarlo and Moons out for the Catters. So there you have it, boys. Freo to beat Geelong.
Thanks, Nat. Well and truly on the Freo bandwagon after 2 weeks. Surely it's due to fall into a heap very, very soon. Mick, you've had a look at all 8 games. Can you give the punters out there a bit of a guide in the form of your Betfair Big Spruik for round 3?
Yeah, let's just stick with Hawthorn, eh? 276 is a pretty good price, and you know, they just need a little bit of luck, good start early, and they can roll the doggies.
Yeah, and always good to look for a bit of value. I'm going against Nat this week, and I think the value is actually with Geelong. Never before, or seldom before in the last 3 years, have Geelong been such a good price, around the 170 mark. They've won 65 out of 75, and Freo have won about 2 games in about 25. So
Pot Freo.
well, I am. I'm potting Freo, making Geelong my Betfair Big Spruik of the round. Just back on the Betfair Blame to Fame, which I mentioned earlier, you can log on to the site. It's betfair.com.au/blame, where you can enter and go in the running to win AFL and NRL Grand Final tickets. Mick, thank you very kindly for joining us. We'll see you again soon, and punters, best of luck this weekend.